married. And it's not the responsibility of the legislature or the responsibility of the executive. So NBC is part of the executive. And we have to be celebrating. And we said it that time, when government just woke up and banned Twitter, that they can just wake up one day and close one TV station and nothing will happen. And that's the degree of the impunity and recklessness, abuse of process, and lack of respect for rule of law, and lack of respect for human dignity that we have witnessed in the last few years from agencies of government under this administration and previous administration in Nigeria since 1999. And that's what has made us to come to the conclusion that Nigeria presently, we are not a democratic society. We are still a civilian government. The fact that we have transited from a military regime to democracy, conducting election, the facts on the ground are indicative that there are still vestiges of militariness in a democratic principle. So it's a civilian administration. It's not democracy. And if I give you the features of democracy, and then we use that as the yardstick to measure and evaluate our democratic experience, then you understand that we are a civilian administration and not a democracy. Because in a democracy, the government will have been taken. Channels has the right to sue NBC and to ensure that their rights are not infringed upon. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Jide Johnson. I want us to take a look at the story on the Punch newspaper. It says that the NNPC posts first profit in 44 years, and that's 287 billion naira, and that the stakeholders are applauding this feat, and that the president is excited about that. First time in 44 years. Should we be excited about this?
That's a fiery victory. An organization posted losses in 44 years. And then when they made profit, they didn't make 1 billion, they didn't make 2 billion. All of a sudden, it's over 200 billion in terms of profit. It's wrong. Somewhere, if you are involved, you should develop a third eye and ask question, how is that possible for someone that has zero profit, that made losses, and then we have this astronomical profit margin in 1 year? Well, it shows that there is a need for NNPC books to be looked into, and those that need there to be prosecuted. It means that some certain things were not done in the past and that they are starting to do now. It's the basic. Should we clap for you for doing your job in Plus TV? Should we clap for the cameraman for doing his job? It's in Nigeria that you clap for a governor for constructing roads, for doing the basic of public governance. What was he elected for in the first instance? If you have to start applauding everybody working in every organization for doing the job they are employed to do, then what time would we have to do the job? Then every one of us will engage in continuous clapping. Why must we clap for NNPC for declaring profit, when in the first instance, that's the basic of running that organization? Even those that are operating private businesses in the oil and gas, they've been declaring profit. You begin to wonder, Chevron, Total, all other major organizations, both in the upstream and those that operate in the downstream, are declaring profit. But the body in charge is not declaring profit until today. Those that want to clap for them, let them go ahead to clap for them. I don't belong to that category, because it's the base of what government should do. It is sheer stupidity for anybody to thank a governor for constructing road. It is the level they have insulted our psyche. Our psyche. Can you imagine Americans gathering together for clapping for Joe Biden for doing infrastructure, or the British people gathering together for clapping for Boris Johnson? That Boris Johnson, thank you for providing railway, and then they bring money, they bring people with pomp and purgatory to do the commissioning. It's only in Nigeria they do commissioning of road. Where do you see that they do commissioning of, and they will spend more money commissioning the road than the money they used to build the road? I don't belong to that category.
Yeah,
Why should you?
Yeah, but isn't it something to at least celebrate because of where we're coming from? If they say that in 44 years the NNPC never posted profit, and we finally are there, isn't it something to celebrate? And imagine that in the next few years we will be able to post even bigger profit, of trillions of naira.
Well, for those that want to celebrate, they should go ahead and celebrate it. But for me, as far as I'm concerned, it's the basic of public governance. Government is run to provide services. People are employed in NNPC to provide those services. If the MD does not have the intellectual capacity and the professional expertise to manage the business, why is he appointed in the first instance? Should NNPC be incurring losses? That's the question we need to ask. It's not and then don't also forget that different in the year they have made profit. Looking at it, in the year they have made profit, it is the same year they have made series of attempts to increase the price of petroleum products. They have made different justifications that they cannot sustain it. Now they have declared profit. There's something unclear about NNPC.
Okay, let's move to something else now. And this is also on the Daily Independent. It's saying here that from the PDP to President Buhari, it says, you and not Governor Tom is spreading division and hate. If you remember, in a response from Garba Shehu to Governor of Benue State, Tom, he had, of course, accused him of spreading division and hate and, almost targeting a certain group in his state. But the PDP is saying now it's the president, not Governor Tom, who's spreading division and hate.
Well, it's unfortunate that the issue of insecurity does not know the political party you belong to, does not know the sector you work in, does not know the ethnic group you come from or the state of origin. The issue of insecurity affects virtually everybody. It affects virtually everybody. And playing politics with it will not help us. However, we understand where the buck stops. We saw the press conference of the American president yesterday, where he took the blame for what happened in Kabul, where he said the buck stops on his table. And we know where the buck stops, whose table the issue of security, protection of lives and property in this country resides with. We know who appoints the Inspector General of Police. We know who appoints the service chiefs. We know who appoints people that heads the various intelligence outfit that we have and the various security agencies that have. We all know quite all right that even the state governor does not have control over the police commissioner, even the posting and the rest of it over the police commissioner in the state. That we have reviewed it. So if Garba Shehu likes, let him write whatever statement. Let him start apportioning blames and saying that somebody is the one causing division. But by the time we are talking about administration, when you talk about public administration in Nigeria, people knew quite well that 1999 to 2007 is Obasanjo's administration. Nobody knows some of the governors under Obasanjo's administration. People knew that it was Yar'Adua between 2007 and 2010, Yar'Adua Jonathan, and from 2010 to 2015, it was Jonathan's administration. From 2015 to 2023, it is history. They can write whatever press statement they want to write. It is history that will place everybody where they belong. It will be the president himself said it, I think, 2 weeks ago, that he doesn't want the issue of insecurity, not dealing with it, to be his legacy, that is going to ensure that he deals with the issue of insecurity. So let the likes and the icks of Garba Shehu be doing what they are doing. They are not helping the matter. But the issue of security is clear for everybody to see, and we know who caused the shot in the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right, Chide Johnson, still talking about the People's Democratic Party, there's a story in the Guardian newspaper that says, in new twist, court restores Secondus as PDP chairman. On the Daily Independent newspaper, it also has that same story talking about the challenge between Secondus and the rest of the PDP. Well, we know that a River State High Court on Monday barred Secondus from parading himself as chairman of the party, and then after that, Akinwumi became the chairman of the party. The PDP recognized him, but then what we're seeing now is that the Kebbi State High Court has basically reversed that judgment of a River State High Court, saying Secondus is the chairman. So where does that now leave Akinwumi, Secondus, and the PDP?
One of the challenges we have in Nigeria is the judiciary. Our courts of comparable status will be given conflicting decisions. And then how? That's the question you ask. And then the drama you see in PDP, just grab your popcorn, get your whatever you drink, and be ready for the drama that will happen in PDP and APC towards 2023, because this is not the end of having court orders. You remember when Modu Sharif was the PDP's chairman, and how they were getting different court orders when the guy insisted that he's the national chairman. So this drama that happened when the newspapers are in a new twist, it's not a new twist. In the normal twist, in the character of the way PDP has been managed since 1999. So you shouldn't be surprising to anybody that a Kebbi State High Court will give an order and then invalidating the High Court order given by River State. So 2 state high courts. So which one should PDP recognize? Which one should we respect? Is the judge in, I think the Nigerian Judicial Council needs to sanction judges with this type of judgments. You could see what happened in Anambra State with respect to who is the candidate of ABGA, who is the candidate of PDP, who is, and we have seen that drama playing out. The judiciary needs to help this country, because in building a democratic society, you must have an independent and fair judicial system. Now, in a situation whereby the judiciary becomes part and parcel of the problem, this is the challenge that you have. So, who is the national chairman of PDP? Both parties are on crutches. Both parties. PDP, we don't know who the chairman is, whether it's because the drama will continue. For APC, you don't know who the national chairman of APC is, whether it's Bunu, my Bunu, or not, and time will tell. And we have seen how 2019 election threw up a lot of scenario that we didn't expect. Whereby candidates won election, there was an wholesome nullification of election across board, across offices in Zamfara State, whereby a party that came second was declared as the winner. That's PDP, because the courts nullified the process. Why can't we resolve this pre-electoral issue before election? And the issue of the national chairmanship, why should you approach a court and say a chairman that has been elected for a tenure, you declare, it's like a court waking up today and saying that the tenure of the governor of Lagos State has expired.
All right.
It doesn't make any sense. You can't adjudicate on that matter. You can't adjudicate.
All right.
Because there's a statute.
We would have to wrap up. Unfortunately, we would have to wrap up here in the interest of time. But thank you very much, as always. We always enjoy your Friday morning analysis on stories making the headlines. We, of course, wish you a great Friday and a great weekend ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be with you. And I ensure that you have a wonderful day. And make sure you have time to relax this evening.
We'll do our best. Stay with us here on The Breakfast. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going back in history. I'm going back to the year 1985 to share with you about a coup that took place on this day that, of course, involves a lot of very popular names in Nigeria's political journey.
And I'm going back to the year 1955 to tell you a bit of history about the Guinness Book of World Records. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome. It's Nimasa This Week, the voice of maritime. Nimasa This Week is brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. Statutorily mandated to ensure that there's regulation and promotion of matters affecting our waters. NIMASA bears responsibility for search and rescue, shipping development, and ship registration.
NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime, showing on this channel.
Welcome back to The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Now let's go back in history to apparently the year I was born. And a couple of months after my birth, there was a coup in Nigeria. It was, of course, orchestrated by former military administrator Ibrahim Babangida on this day in 1985, the 27th of August. 2 years earlier, there was an initial coup in 1983 where current president Muhammadu Buhari had overthrown the Shehu Shagari government. But on this day, Babangida, carried out his own coup, accusing the current administration of what he termed Buharism and, of course, corruption and failure to, fix Nigeria's economic woes at that time. It's pretty much, the same explanation for almost all the coups in the world. But he had, blamed, blamed Muhammadu Buhari back then of failing to fix Nigeria's economic woes, and of course also running a slightly corrupt government and imposing what he termed Buharism in 1985. He then, of course, replaced the Supreme Military Council with what was called the Armed Forces Ruling Council. Ibrahim Babangida stayed in power until 1993, where, of course, there was then new drama in Nigeria with the annulled election and MKO Abiola and some of all of that. But that's, a totally different conversation that happened much, much later. But, of course, it was on this day that the 1985 coup took place in Nigeria. Muhammadu Buhari was then arrested in 1995 and sent to prison in Benin City until 1988 when he was released. But I'll also quickly mention that in 1990, during Ibrahim Babangida's time in power, there was an attempted coup by Major Gideon Oka. It was a failed coup that of course, he was able to escape, when, the coup was, when it started. Gideon Oka was then arrested along with his co-conspirators and executed by firing squad in 1990, that same year. It was basically a lot of drama between 1983 and 1993. It was, basically a time in Nigeria's political history that would forever be relevant in our history. But on this day, Ibrahim Babangida overthrew the Muhammadu Buhari government and, took over power for the next 8 years. 85 to 93, yes, 8 years.
Wow. And almost 50 years later, President Buhari is president.
And then people also mention, that some of the drama that ensued after, in this period, are, no need to go in that direction. But, some of the things that happened on this day are very relevant with what is currently happening in Nigeria today and what has happened since 2015 concerning Muhammadu Buhari.
Let me now go to the year 1955. 1955, on this day in history, the 27th of August. And on this day in history, the Guinness Book of Records debuts.
Yeah. So just before we get into the Guinness Book of Records chaos, I would also just quickly throw in, the fact that I hope, and I completely hope that we've fully and 100% moved away from the era of coups. It has happened in a few African countries, even in I can't remember where now, not very, Chad, yes, not long ago. But I'm hoping that we've completely moved away from that era and we are in a totally different space currently. Something else that I would throw in is that some of the people who will be mentioned, some of the names that would be mentioned, that will always be relevant with regards to Nigeria's political drama, the ups and downs, the coups, the overthrow of governments, and some of all of that are still very much alive today and still have a say, with regards to Nigeria's journey. But anyway, just to quickly throw that in, Ibrahim Babangida was interviewed a few weeks ago, if you remember, and he also, made some statements concerning his time then and where he is today.
All right, going now to the year 1955, on this day in history, August the 27th, the Guinness Book of World Records debuts. And it was a very interesting time leading up until this day in history. The Guinness Book of World Records, first of all, has sold over 143 million copies. It's spread to 100 different countries and is published in at least 22 different languages. The inspiration behind the Guinness Book of World Records can be traced back to Sir Hubiba, who went on a hunting trip with his friends in November 1951. Now, he tried to shoot at a bird called the golden plover, but he missed it. Now, after repeatedly trying to shoot at that bird and missing it, he and his friends began to debate whether that bird, the golden plover, was the fastest hunting bird in Europe. Now, when they continued that debate, they began to delve into the credibility of, the facts in various books regarding the fastest birds in the world. And, after they couldn't decide on that, they decided to go on and publish a record book for a British pub to resolve all the objections regarding which bird was the fastest in the world. Now, at that time, this particular guy, Beaver, was the managing director of Guinness Brewery, founded in Dublin in 1759, and the book was to be distributed free of charge in a pub aimed at promoting the brewery, but the book became so popular, they decided to begin to sell it, and before long, the book became a bestseller. After that 1955 debut, the book also debuted in the US in 1956, and since then there had been no turning back. The book has been published multiple times, and it's one of the most successful brands in the world. The book is loved by people all over, and yes, talking about if the golden plover is the fastest bird in the world, it was confirmed to be the fastest bird in the world. So on this day in history, August 27th, 1955, the Guinness Book of World Records debuted in that brewery.
Okay. What I've picked up from here is, just really, really great marketing for that brand. And then also, if you remember not long ago, there was a particular beverage, soda brand rather, that had very, very brilliant marketing, putting the names of people on bottles, which was phenomenal marketing. But at the same time, I would say that the Guinness Book of Records was something that I grew up with in the 90s. It was something that was part of almost every household. If you go to a person's house and they have, it's a big book. They have, the hard copy, well, what was only hard copy back then, Guinness Book of Records. It was something fascinating that everybody tried to read. You read about the most interesting records.
The longest nails in the world.
The most interesting type of records, that you could ever imagine. And it was always placed in different segments. There was the one for health, there was the one for food, there's the one for aviation, there's the one for, television, some of all of that. It was just a very, very fascinating book. And you can read it and not stop turning the pages until you finish. It was so interesting. Nigerians have also tried to get on that record. I remember DJ Obi, a few years ago, tried to create his own Guinness Book of Records by by DJing for about 3 days or 4 days, or the longest DJ set. I remember not a few years ago, actually, in 2015 or 2016, sometime around then. They just have ignored my own record.
for fastest talker.
Sweetest bachelor in Lagos.
They'll get to that. That's it on Today in History. Let's take a break here and we'll return for our first big conversation after the break.
There has to be a decision point. The way your baby's presenting, we have to rush you in. And my partner at the time was like, "You going to cut her? Are you going to cut her? Is it going to leave a scar?" And I said, "Am I a belly dancer? What is the problem here?"
No, I'm vulnerable about the future of the children, the future of mine and the future of the generation of my children.
I want to have nude pictures taken. Of you? Yes,
Yeah,
but
we
without
have
showing my private parts. I want to put it in my front room. And they said, "You can't do that. People will be embarrassed when they came into your house." I said, "Well, it's my body and it's my front room."
All the things that we do, what is the purpose of it?
I just realized that I was more trusting before I was 6.
So many women, they just feel like I have to cook for my husband, I have to breastfeed my children, I have to pick them from school.
Because society expects
Then you
them
go
to.
home and you cry and you stop your career, you can't do anything, then you blame everybody. You took that choice.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And yes, we are talking. It is important we drive the right conversation that informs, inspires, influences thoughts and action. If we say there's beauty in our diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture. We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversations shape today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
Are you ready to party right from the comfort of your TV screen? The Rundown's here to save the day. From freshly baked videos to the classics to the youngins and dope conversations, all in one chart. We got you covered. Just tune in to The Rundown every Friday, 10:30 p.m. West African time. The Rundown. Let's turn it up.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on PlusTvAfrica.
For me, I wanted to change that culture. I didn't believe that until you see a white man or you see a foreigner in the kitchen before you can believe that, you know, good food is going to come out of that kitchen.
You can leverage on each other's spaces and, you know, sell. We believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better.
And my products are proudly made in Nigeria.
Made in Niger, showing every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. and repeats on Saturday at 8:30 a.m.
welcome back to The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Now, there's been talks about a third force ahead of the 2023 general elections in Nigeria. And if there will be a political party or groups of political parties strong enough to provide a veritable opposition to the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party. We're now being joined by the former Special Advisor to Rivers State to discuss this. He is Mr. Opunabo Inkotaria. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Can you hear me?
So Inkotaria, can you unmute your device?
Oh, we can hear you now. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So I want us to first talk about the People's Democratic Party and its role as an opposition. And firstly, would you agree with people who say that the People's Democratic Party has failed in its role as an opposition party?
Well, to a very large extent, yes. Because the opposition is not as viral as we expect it to be when juxtaposed with that of the APC preceding the 2015 elections. So to that very extent, I will tell you, yes, PDP has to a very large extent been docile and repudiated its obligation as the major opposition party in the country. I agree with them, but I disagree with a whole lot of other things.
So which other things do you disagree with?
The infighting in the PDP, the schism so far in the PDP. To me, I would describe it as maximizing the minimum and minimizing the maximum. In other words, the PDP members should realize that what they are doing could be akin to a macabre dance at a theater of megalomania with a crazy spin of recklessness. It is completely inane, completely unnecessary. That's why when you take on the advisements, the issues surrounding the schism, the crisis in the party. To me, it's just the issue of drum major instinct at play. The drum major instinct, that is what is at play. Echo battle. Because the Secondus led National Working Committee or led party tenure will expire in a month, 2 or 3. And so I expect
Mr. Inkotaria,
okay. What I get at, yes. Sorry?
Yes, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Okay. When you consider what your target is, that's why I said minimizing the maximum and maximizing the minimum. When you consider what your target is, which is to wrest power from the APC that has performed abysmally, I think that should have been your focus. And you should not at all drag and get the party immersed in crisis that will also threaten the success of the party come 2023. So in other words, the PDP is playing havoc with its destiny, with its success in the 2023 elections. And this is very unnecessary because it is seen as the beacon light of hope. And unfortunately, that light is being put out. It has been extinguished. So there is no really opposition as we speak right now. Although the PDP has performed abysmally in terms of opposition, but it is worse now. It is as if there is no fallback. You are now between the devil and the deep blue sea. And why? Because the crisis is just fundamentally driven by vigorous, capricious, and out of touch control for a party. That's why I say it is principally driven by the drum major instinct. And this is not healthy. It is even faster by resorting to court. Now that the party is here in the flame of litigations, what will happen? It is going to worsen because even the so-called convention that would have effected the change of captain will no longer take place. The court processing, unless there is a resolution and accommodation in their meeting on Saturday, the court processes will hamstring whatever process that is in place, that will be put in place for the convention in October, November, or December. Meanwhile, you would have just waited. So the present leadership will continue. The leadership has spilled into 2022. And which negates the whole essence just because of your megalomaniac attitude of starting characters who believe that what they say is what must be done.
Okay, Mr. Inkotare, moving away from, or moving slightly away from looking at the issues the PDP is currently dealing with. Of course, there's news that Stella Oduah has, also decamped, which adds to their woes, I believe. But moving away from that, let's also talk about the possibilities and, the space for opposition to actually thrive. Do you think that the current Nigerian government has given enough space for opposition to thrive? Do you think that it's even possible to have a, reasonably successful opposition party with, the current Nigerian government? Or have the PDP just been lazy?
Yes, you can. I think the PDP embarked on a long journey of lethargic sleep and inertia. It really has nothing to do with the political environment. I agree, we have a government that is tyrannical in power, a government that is impervious to criticism, a government that will not brook any opposition. They see dangerous enemies in the painted shadow and decipher sinister thought behind every dissenting word. So they go after perceived and real enemies. No doubt about that. But that is why you have the opposition. That is why people are clamoring for change of government, because of all these indices. So if you resign yourself to fate, then you're no longer the opposition. People will no longer look up to you. Now, as the major opposition party, I agree, unlike the Jonathan's administration, where Jonathan was a little bit tolerant, to a very large extent. In fact, if you compare the two, I will tell you Jonathan was 100% tolerant when you compare the two. Where Jonathan was a little bit tolerant. But then, in this present dispensation, they are not tolerant at all to dissenting views. You can agree. But that should not in any way daunt the opposition party or daunt Nigeria. If this government, if you have a government that is democratic, then why are you going to have a very viral, why are we talking of a viral and strong opposition? We won't be talking of a viral and strong. People won't be looking up to the PDP because everybody will just go and express his views without anything happening. But even if the government tries to clamp down on the opposition, Nigerians will react. And people were expecting the PDP to take the lead and others will follow. We are not saying it's going to be, after all we are speaking, that is the same thing we are talking about. I am annoyed today. Many other persons are going to be on air today. Some have been on air. We've always been on air. That is the opposition we are talking about. But a lot of confidence was reposed in the PDP, was reposed in that party. And it is so sad to say that the host, confidence reports have all been dashed. And that is why it is an issue when it comes to the PDP. Because the PDP is one party that has been in power. The PDP is one party that has what it takes, the resources, both the financial muscle, the financial strength, and the clout in terms of numerical strength and so on. And the PDP will have the backing of majority of Nigerians given the poor performance of the present administration. That's why people are saying, otherwise we are all campaigning, we are all criticizing the government, but we expect a formidable front like the PDP to do more, and the PDP failed us. But this does not in any way justify the defection of persons from the party to the other. That has really nothing to do with the failure or success of PDP. It has to do with an individual interest. So we must make that distinction. It is based on individual interest, not about the party or the failure or success of PDP. So people should stop giving slanted interpretations into defections. It is strictly individual. If Stella Oduah will leave PDP for APC, then who does she expect to strengthen the PDP? If the governors will leave the party for an APC, the governors were leaders of the party in that state, which means they have inadvertently indicted themselves that they have also failed. So it really has nothing. It really just has to do with political interest. The APC is in power. I strongly believe that with the APC in power, I can achieve my political ambition. That is the driving force. And some also believe that there are certain persons that have hijacked the PDP. And so their chances in the PDP are quite slim. Therefore, let us move to another party where our chances are going to be great. That is exactly what is going on. It really has nothing to do with the failure or success of the party or the leadership. That is a lie. That will be a complete dispensation of mendacity.
Okay, so Mr. Inkotare, yes, what you've said is what we've seen happen in within our political space. One politician moving from one political party to another, just wherever they can get their political ambitions realized. So,
yes,
what do you think might?
Ambition, that's all.
Sorry?
Sorry?
Come again, please.
I said fruition of the ambition.
Exactly.
I said just for the fruition of the ambition, that's all, yeah.
Okay, so what do you think might save us regarding our politics? Would, the formation of ideology save us? Would, even if we have a new political party, a third force like, Jega has mentioned, if they do not develop ideologies, would they not just be another APC PDP?
My dear, I think you just embarked on delusional excursion to think of ideology in our present political dispensation. Parties are not formed based on ideologies. Even most party loyalists don't even go by the constitution of their parties. Otherwise, you won't be having these fissures here and there. We won't have them. They don't go by constitution. You see, it is unfortunate. We got it wrong in 1999 when a lot of Nigerians impugned the transition program. And so they stayed away from party politics, from getting involved in politics. And as a result of that, people with distorted perception of life were accidentally discharged onto the political surface. And those characters have groomed others like them. So it has nothing to do with party politics. In the days of the NPN, UPN, and so on, whenever they had meetings, party meetings, the meetings were held in party secretariats. And the meetings were presided over by the party chairman. Mr. President, Mr. Governor walked in as like any other member. And each time the chairman of the party walked in, the president and governor, who definitely were in that meeting before the venue before the president, who stood for the president, for the chairman. That was when the party reigned supreme. That was when you talked of party ideology. And before budgets were made, they were first of all submitted to the party for scrutiny. Because the image of the party is what is at stake, and not the image of the governor. So it was first of all submitted to the party for scrutiny. That is when we had party ideology. Not today, where the governors are even made the leaders of the party and the president leaders of the party. That is an aberration. And that is the bane.
Mr. Inkotaria, so what changed?
And
what then changed, amongst these political parties?
I just told you, I said I made reference to 1999. You cannot bequeath what you don't have. It's not possible. I made reference to 1999, where responsible people stayed away, abstained from partisan politics. I remember a former four-time minister who was asked to go vie for the governorship of Rivers State. And he said, no, I will not. Because I don't want to be embroiled in all kinds of nonsense. Today he's regretting it. I don't need to mention his name. But because we have this character, people who, their perception of, they suffer from narcissistic personality disorder. They believe that, these other ones are least servers, we are the least lords. Whatever we say must happen. And what we must dictate to the party. And that is the problem with the PDP and the APC. We must dictate to the party. And that is as a result of their background. Look, my dear, you being a multi-billionaire, or you being the president of a country, does not mean you're imbued with rectitude. Does not mean you're imbued with certain qualities. What matters is your upbringing. That is crucial. And you cannot bequeath to society what you do not have. So the basic problem has to do with one's perception of what politics. Or as you tell me, how do you justify where a man, because he's a governor, a president, a minister, will steal up to 50 billion naira? What are you going to do with 50 billion naira? What you should pray for is for God to give you your basics. If today you want to go to London on holidays, God should make it possible for you to go to London. You should not beg to train your children. You should have a roof over your head. If your car is old, you should be able to change your car. What are you going to do with 100 billion naira in your account?
Mr. Nkotare.
And that is the problem we're having.
Mr. Nkotare, I want to throw another angle at you. And one of the things that has been mentioned is that certain persons have hijacked the PDP. Do you agree with this? And who can you point out, if possible, any of these elements that may have hijacked the PDP and led to the current drama?
What is going on is a question of contesting and contending parties' ego battle. I told you, that certain persons have hijacked or are trying to hijack is still fragile. You can't contest that. It's an ego battle. That is what is going on. The River State governor has been accused, not by one person, not by two persons, not by three, not by four, including Muazu and co. He has also admitted that he has been accused of trying to hijack the party. He has also said so. On your sister stations and in so many fora, he has admitted that he has been accused. He did not admit that he has actually hijacked. He said he has been accused of hijacking the party. Now, the issue of prison to secondus, he said, that's why I said an ego, but he's also saying you cannot just disgrace me out of power, out of office like that. So these are the issues, and they all have their loyalty, they all have their aficionados. So it becomes a problem. But where I blame those calling for the removal of secondus is you just have a short period. If you can remember, think back, reflect on what happened to the APC in Rivers State, on what happened to the APC in one of the states in the north and so on, you will be able to manage the problem. Conflict, like I always say, is a function of interaction. And because man cannot not communicate, man is prone to it. But resolution is what matters. And that is where wisdom comes in. You should be able to know when to sheath your sword and when to draw your sword. That is where maturity comes in. You have just 1 or 2 more months to do. What is the rush? Because you believe that if he's allowed to stay, he might influence those that will come after him. He might influence. But if he is that bad as you claim, then you should not be able to influence those that will come after him in the next convention. If he is that bad and you are that good as you claim, then you should have the clout, because you should have the policy based on the bad leadership. You should have the policy that will go against him. So the whole thing is senseless, completely senseless. Now it is an ego battle. Just because, I have said he has to go, he has to go. You're going to say, no, you don't have the right to tell me I have to go. They want to come. It's now seared in the flame of litigation.
All right, now, also share your thoughts on the idea of a one-party state. If there is no viable or, strong enough opposition, and that includes whatever third-party, conversations that people might be having. It also includes independent candidates and whatnot. Are there fears of what, a one-party state brings?
One-party state is akin to dictatorship. It's akin to tyranny. That's just the truth about one-party state. And the present administration's style of leadership obviates the need for any further proof. Where, look at the grazing laws, look at the issue of Boko Haram. We all know that the president is complicit. And that is because of the interest of the Mr. President. I'm very sorry to say this on your stage. We all know that it's complicit. What are you going to say about what they call the services that you are removed from office? The NSA confirmed that they embezzled funds, that the money that were released to them were not used for the very purpose. Their successors confirmed it. You rewarded mediocrity with ambassadorial appointment because it's a one-party state. The National Assembly cleared that's what we're talking about, one-party state, because they have the numerical strength in the National Assembly. So even if you go to if you are talking about the PIA, the PIB, and the PIA, so we all know the dangers of a one-party state. And that is where a lot of people are angry with the PDP. A lot of people are angry, not because we can speak, but do I have the financial muscle? Do I have the clouds? So we're not just talking, a broomstick can be broken easily, but the bunch is difficult. So a lot of us repose that confidence that not necessarily because of the PDP, it's not necessarily because the PDP is populated by saints. No, but you need a force. And that was what the former national chairman, INEC chairman, was talking about, the third force. But the third force you're talking about, unless the third force is being populated, unless parties merge into a new party, it will be very difficult to fight the PDP and the APC successfully. The only party that can do that successfully because of the cloud, because of the financial model, is the PDP. Otherwise, nobody would have been interested in what is going on in the PDP. If it wants to bury itself, FPN is gone. We have other parties. But because the PDP has the cloud and the financial model, haven't been in office for quite some time.
But Mr. Inkotaria,
that is why people are talking of the PDP.
When we see the level of defections, between the APC and PDP, I mean, people have now said that they're both the same parties, both sides of the or different sides of the same coin. Don't you see it that way?
Oh my goodness. The APC is not populated by people from Spain or from space or from heaven. Majority of APC members were PDP members or CPC members or what have you. So when you say if they are this one and the same, you cannot be far from the truth. You cannot be far from the truth. And that is why I'm saying it's going to be a difficult task. Even if we have the PDP in power, it's not as if we are going to experience a remarkable change. It depends on the individual, not the party. And that's why tomorrow I'm advanced to the Supreme Court judgment that said, to me it's fine, that said, you vote for the party and not the individuals in Nigeria. It is reasonable, with due respect to the Lord Justice, it is reasonable. Because you know, even there, you, my sister, my brother, you know too well that your membership of a party is predicated on who you know and who you love in that party, not the ideology of that party in Nigeria. So we are not talking of party, we are talking of leadership. Not just the party, because nobody is going by the party manifesto in this country. Nobody. It's an individual thing. I am the governor of Rivers State. I am the president of Nigeria. It is what I like that I will do.
But is that how it should? But is that how it should be?
How dare you question me as a party? You don't. When I inform the party, how can the party question me? How can the party question me? It is a yes sir thing, and that's why we have the problem we have. It's a yes sir thing.
That's why I'm asking Mr. Inkotaria. Is that how it should be?
The party will dictate to you what to do. Sorry.
And that, you mentioned that, you know, people look out for the person, the individual, and his own leadership style or personality. So I'm saying, is that how it should be? What should the focus be?
At times for gastric reasons, not necessarily leadership style. Gastric reasons, stomach reasons. Continue.
So I'm saying, is that how it should be? Should the focus not be on, I mean, I'm talking about like what an ideal situation should look like in Nigeria. Should it be about a focus on the person or the political party and their ideologies?
I just answered your question. I told you, I said, first and foremost, forget about ideology when we talk of political parties in this country.
All right.
That is number one. Number two, membership of a party has to do with the individual, the one you look up to, the one you believe is going to be your messiah, the one you believe is going to open the doors for you. If that man is in APC, bam, you run to APC. If it's in PDP, fine, you run to PDP.
Mr. Inkotaria, you don't understand my question.
If today you move to Labour Party, you move to Labour Party. It's as simple as that.
Mr. Inkotaria, you don't understand my question. I'm saying, we know what it is now. I'm talking about what the ideal should be. Should the ideal be about what you're saying, where people follow the one person who they feel is their messiah? Or should it be about the ideology of the political party, the ideal, not what it is at the moment?
Ideally, it has to do with your conviction, which has to be in sync with the ideology of the political party. If, for example, you believe that because the political parties have their manifesto, they have their ideology, they have their constitution, now you pick up, you go through, and you believe that what that political party stands for is in tandem with your convictions and your beliefs. That is it. You go for it. Without necessarily joining a party because of an individual or a group of individuals. That's why in civilized lives, you can be my brother, you can be my sister. We are best of friends. You know, you can be siblings without being best of friends. We are best of friends, but you belong to a different political party and I belong to a different political party. And it's not affecting our relationship. That is just civilization comes in. But that is not the case here. That's why it's an aberration. It's not the case here. Here, in fact, if you, as an APC member, if you're seeing discussion with the PDP member, oh, you're a mole. It is that bad. Oh, but if I don't discuss with the PDP member, how do I move him over to APC? Intellectual anemia. You see, that's the problem we're having. And that is why we are where we are today, because we are not driven by ideology. We are driven by loyalty, and not loyalty to our government or loyalty to our constitution, but loyalty to the individual. And that is where we have the problem. So what I'm saying in essence, in synopsis, is that what we have now is an aberration. It's an anomaly. It is not what is obtained in any civilized life.
All right. Mr. Opunabo Inkotaria, thank you very much for your time and for the conversation we've just had.
Thank you.
We wish you a great Friday and a beautiful weekend ahead.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Absolutely. Stay with us. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we're talking about the NNPC finally declaring profit after 44 years. We'll be joined by an oil and gas consultant after the short break. Stay with us. Good morning once again.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already.
I am not hungry. If I need appointment, all I need to do is to start praising government.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say. The moment we stop having charlatans occupy political offices, we will curtail hate speech.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Welcome back to The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Our next conversation is going to the NNPC and its declaration of profit. The president yesterday, of course, through his spokesperson, Femi Adesina, declared that the NNPC has, of course, recorded a 287 billion naira profit declaration after 44 years. We are looking at this with Mr. Alex Nengi, who's an oil and gas consultant. Good morning. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
All right. So first question would be, is this something to be celebrated? Should we look at this story and, celebrate this as a victory, or a win for the NNPC and for the Nigerian oil and gas industry?
We have always maintained that the way the oil company NNPC as an organization is being run, we've always maintained that it is wrong because it's not organized as a profit-oriented organization. So there's a lot of excess. You have Petronas, Petrobras. By 2007, when they were going to make me a group MD, those were some of the things we were looking at. The NNPC as an organization is supposed to be a national petroleum company like any other company like Shell, Chevron, that is profit-oriented, but it was just like a clearinghouse. So where this profit is coming from now has to be well-defined for people to really know, but this is the right direction to go. It's an organization, it's like Shell or Chevron or whatever, and they are supposed to have directors and run it like a business. Running like a ministry whereby it's like a clearinghouse. X is doing job, this is doing job, they pay us this, that's not what NNPC should be. So the PIB, for example, will help to straighten that out, at least some of those areas to be cleared. But right now, with declaring profit, it is the right direction to go, but how this came about is yet to be explained to the public.
Yeah, what would you expect, if things were properly or were run, the right way? What would you expect would be the ways that the NNPC should be able to make profit every year?
Generally, like Chevron or Shell, it is a professional outfit, it's a business outfit. So all this government intervention, bring this here, send this barrel here, and all those things will not happen. You have a director, you have a clear, defined boards, and assignments will be given to people. If you are the MD, you are the MD. There are authority, there are way you have to do this business, and if you are not performing, you get fired. But this one is anything goes, man, no man, you bring anybody there, whether he has knowledge or not, because it's a clearinghouse. So if they start doing things properly, like a business, then they cannot give full account. It's like, I'm receiving X amount, I'm investing this amount, these are the things I'm doing, these are the profits. That's how it goes. Because right now, you have all these leases taken, you give it to another company to run. When they run, whatever profit they make, whatever they make, they declare, you put that as your profit and all that, So they still need to go the extra mile to start doing the company or set up the NNPC properly, whereby people can really see the transparency in the organization to justify profit being declared. And you have to go through expenses. Like now, you have Warri Refinery. It has not worked for years. So do you declare dividends there? Definitely no. But if you look the overhead, it's still there. And there's several like that. So that's why I said this dividend being declared or a profit being declared, we have to know where it is coming from, because there are so many outfits there within the NNPC that is not producing a dime. And it's just like a permanent hole where money just gets dumped into. Like the refineries, for example, it's not running. So who is making profit there? Where is money coming from there? Zero. You just have a bunch of staff stuck in there, and you put in millions. But on top of that, they're still sending people on training. So I can't figure it out. So they have to come out to the public and tell us what part of the organization that is bringing this profit.
Yes, Mr. Nai.
They have to define it properly.
Indeed, the president, didn't say anything as to how the NNPC was able to bounce back even in a pandemic year. But what NNPC's GMD has said, Milikari, he attributed the profit to lower borrowing rates. He said they were also able to cut costs and improve efficiency. So if he mentioned these three things as what they did to make them generate, such amount of profit after 44 years, do you think the NNPC should be investigated for the past 44 years as to why it didn't do these things, to generate profit?
Well, investigating NNPC, that has been in the works for years. I was the African Regional Director for Society of Petroleum Engineers, also the chairman of SP Nigeria for several years. All these things have been in the works. There's no organization that runs like that. So for 44 years, first time we are declaring profit. So what happened? They have responsibility to explain to Nigerians what has happened over the years. Now you say after 44 years you have profit. Where is the profit coming from? Those of us in the industry still know that that is an organization that is moribund. It's an organization that is set up to produce profit. When you have people like Gareth Adams and a lot of them there, they were gearing towards that type of Petronas type of attitude where it's like Chevron or Shell or a multinational whereby you give account to the public. So for 44 years, they've not done that. If they are doing that now, it's good, but they need to really sit down and fine-tune what that organization should be. It's supposed to be an organization like any other organization, regulated by DPR like any other oil company. Then they give their books and people will see what they have in their books. But so far, this is a good start. But I still have my doubts how this came about because there are still several areas within the organization that cannot yield a dime and it just stack up human beings.
Oh, wow.
There's no organization that works like that.
Yeah, Mr. Nai, now let's also look at, the possibilities of, this continuing and even getting better. There is, more crude oil derivatives that Nigeria doesn't seem to be, tapping into or making, a headway with. If the NNPC was properly run, if every single derivative of crude oil was, milked, if I can use that term, where do you think the finances of the NNPC should be from your analysis?
First, it is an organization, they have leases. They should have the competent hands to run those leases like any other oil company. If they do that, we'll be in good shape. All the production and everything you see all over the place, they should be in a position. Like nearby me here, they have a field which they took from Shell. Somebody else is running it. So what I'm saying is let them set it up like a proper company. We will produce the oil because there's still time. Although they say oil will be of no use, blah, 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 that is still some distance away from us and from the rest of the world too. So we still have some opportunity to set up the organization properly and maximize whatever profit we have and diversify it to developing the country. Within the next 20, 30 years, we're still going to be able to do it. Yeah. So if they start on the right path now and set it up properly and start producing oil like any other oil company with profit orientation, then we'll be in shape.
What I'm asking, what I'm trying to get is, what other crude oil derivatives do you think that we should be able to make profit off? We've spoken about gas flaring for a long time. Lately there's been more talks about, how we can also develop, the gas sector to make more money. So, are there other crude oil derivatives that that Nigeria doesn't seem to be tapping into to make even more money?
Well, when you talk about other crude oil derivatives, crude oil is crude oil. You have gas, you have crude oil. So the components that come out of these products, they are the things that can really generate revenue. Like you get the crude, you refine it, the byproducts, we do a lot of things. We create a lot of jobs and all that. But what I'm saying now is let us set it up properly. We have refinery. The refinery goes to buy the crude like any other refinery in the world. They refine, they sell, they declare their profit. Right? Real business. If they do it like that, we will have surplus money. And under that condition, all these employment, this quota system and all these things will decide, because you want somebody on seat who can deliver, because you are gunning for profit and you want to maximize your profit. So you're going to set up the company and make sure people work properly. So I think that's where we need to go. You only have gas and you have oil. In 1979, when I came back from the year, I've worked in Gulf before out there. I found out flying from Lagos, coming to Warri to go and spend a week before I go back to work. Gas was everywhere, and I took it as a challenge. So the first gas realization in 1980, I spent the whole of 1980 with one other expatriate, Gilbert Grant is still alive. We're all in the team to see what we can do with this gas to generate revenue and make life better for Nigerians. That took 1 year plus. At the end of the job, we agreed we need LNG. We need the gas to generate electricity. Small money. But at least by 1980-81, when they came up with that, we need that as soon as possible.
Interesting. When we take a look at the books of the NNPC between 2015 to 2018, they lost about $1 billion.
That is not the point. The point is you created a PIB, P&P, which is a present profit-oriented organization. But look at other branches of NNPC. It's like a YouTube, just load people in there, pay money, and...
Mr. Alex Nain, thank you so much. Hopefully in the next couple of days we'll be able to get some...
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges shaped today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know
is how to filter through the noise and identify.
Good news in sports. Team Nigeria has won their first gold at the Tokyo. The bronze went to an athlete from Poland. And this feat by Tijani, people have been celebrating it because it marks an improvement of her own performance. She had a previous record of 106 kg. And that's for the 2016 Summer Paralympics in Rio. She also won bronze.
Stuff that we need to learn from, the Nigerian Paralympic athletes. We've always, done reasonably well. There's barely any Paralympic games that Nigeria participates in that we don't come back home with a medal. Now we're hitting gold, and, it can only get better. So, we maybe need to have, more conversations. Wale Scott, hopefully, will be able to bring up more conversations on, what they are doing different. In what ways are they training better? Do they have better facilities? Do they have less distractions? At the Paralympic Games, a totally different space where Nigerians, can actually thrive. So congratulations to her. I like the fact that she's grown over time, from bronze medals, to where she currently is, winning a gold medal. And hopefully, she's able to keep up this feat and also bring in more of these Paralympic athletes to, the medal table, the Nigerian Paralympic athletes to the medal table, as time passes. So it's something to definitely to celebrate and learn from, with, the whole of Nigeria's sports and, our athletes. What are the Paralympians doing better? In what ways are they better prepared? And how are they always certain, always sure of a medal every time that they participate?
Indeed. In case you didn't know, we are currently in day 3 of the Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games. And it's going to be 12 days of sports across 12 days of competition across 22 different sports. So yes, we can't wait to see how the competition really unfolds.
Absolutely.
Well, congratulations again to Tijani and Team Nigeria.
Great way to wrap up the program this morning. And with that, we say thank you for joining us and being a part of the discussions we've had today, from talking about the PDP and, the presence of an opposition party here in Nigeria, to the NNPC declaring profit for the first time in 44 years. Earlier, we also shared major stories making headlines across the country, and also what happened on this day, the 27th of August, in history. If you missed out or you want to catch up, remember, it's at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook and Instagram.
For me, I wanted to change that culture. I didn't believe that until you see a white man or you see a foreigner in the kitchen before you can believe that, good food is going to come out of that kitchen.
You can leverage on each other's spaces and, sell. We believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed.
Thanks for joining us on Plus News Brief. I am Osaogie Ogbonwa. Gunmen have released students abducted 3 months ago from an Islamic school in the Kwara State Police Command says it has rescued 3 kidnapped victims that were reportedly abducted on Monday. The command recalled that 3 persons, 1 female and 2 male, were kidnapped at Elefo Farm in Tafa village in the Asa local government area of the state by 4 men in army camouflage at around 3:30 p.m. In a statement by the police public relations officer Okasomi Ajayi in Ilorin, he said that the victims have all been rescued unhurt and released to their families through the collaborative effort of the police, vigilante, local hunters, and the family of the victims. And the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, says securing the lives and property of people should be a collective task. He stated this when he visited Governor Rotimi Akeredolu in his office. The Chief of Army Staff, who is on a tour of formations and units under the 2nd Division in Ibadan, urged the governor not to relent in his efforts at partnering security agencies. He commended the governor for his timely support to security agencies, especially the Nigerian army. The governor, who was represented by his deputy, Lucky Ayedat. The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, says the spate of insecurity in the nation calls for a whole-system approach by the military and all law enforcement agencies, as he declared open the ceremony of the 81 Division Operations Planning 2021. The General Officer Commanding, Major General Lawrence Fejoku, speaks on improving professional efficiency and harmonious relations between the Nigerian Army and other stakeholders in promoting synergy to address all forms of internal security. PlusTvAfrica's correspondent Destiny Momo has more.
This parade ushers in the Lagos State Governor ready to accomplish assigned missions within a joint environment in the defense of Nigeria.
We are here to have a joint operations training seminar, CADA, call it whatever you like, but the idea is to create a platform where as
agencies, we have the police, we have the Nigerian Army, we have the Navy, we have the Air Force. So we are all coming together in synergy to ensure that we are able to provide a template to improve on the current security situation in Nigeria.
Participants are from the Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Air Force, Nigerian Police and other security agencies, and also stakeholders in the security environment in Lagos. In his keynote address, Governor Sanwo-Olu speaks on the need for a whole system approach in fighting insecurity.
You will all agree with me that no single security agency possesses all the required skill and ability to sustainably secure this great country. A whole of systems approach is required for solving our security challenges. All security agencies putting their hearts and their minds together to surmount any and all of the challenges we're all facing today.
The training is from 24th to 27th August 2021. Destiny Momo for PlusTvAfrica.
Still in the news, on Tuesday night, Plateau State witnessed another bloodbath as gunmen attacked Yelwan Zangam community close to the permanent site of the University of Jos, killing no fewer than 35 persons. This has triggered reactions from residents and other stakeholders.
Judgment concerning this, and nothing has been done by government to reclaim these lands.
Commissioner for Information, who agrees with Dave Zoyang that the attacks are historical, however, says investigations are still ongoing.
I can tell you what clearly is playing out is historical. It has been over the years. The executive arm of government has been able to provide the enabling environment by coming out with the white paper. And so the executive arm of government will not arrest. The executive arm of government will not prosecute, will not take people to court. But they
made payment of entitlement to over 100 families of slain officers. The chairman, CEO of the agency, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, while making the cash presentation to the families in Abuja, apologized.
Over 3,500 officers and men were sorted, as will be the settlement.
2013, they've not done this. And like in my case, my husband just died last year.
And then with the current administration coming to seek intervention for us, we are very grateful and thankful.
For me, in person, I wish the payment should be.
The Democratic Party has ratified the party's Deputy National Chairman South, Yemi Akinwumi, as the acting national chairman of the party, in line with the party's constitution. Chairman of the BOT, Senator Walid Jibrin, announced this decision after an emergency meeting of the board in Abuja. He said Akinwumi and his affirmation as the acting chairman in line with the constitution of the party, and that the Board of Trustees and the caucus will meet tomorrow, or today rather, Friday, and the NEC will hold on Saturday. Meanwhile, Justice Nusirat Umar of the Kebbi State High Court has ordered Uche Secondus to return to his position as the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party. given the order in a suit brought before her in Birnin Kebbi. The state capital, Justice Umar said she was satisfied after reading the affidavit of the respondents that an interim order should be granted on the purported suspension of Secondus pending the determination of the case. Secondus and the PDP are first and second respondents, respectively, in the suit brought before the court by 3 claimants and members of the party, Yahya Usman, Abubakar Mohammed, and Bashir Suleiman. Recall that Justice Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, in Abuja on Thursday. Okoye said that the exercise would begin on Monday and end on September 5th. 113 people affected by flood in August across the state. Executive Secretary of the agency, Dr. Mohammed Suleiman, announced this on Thursday in Yola. According to him, 79 villages in 16 local government areas and woman who tested positive for Ebola virus in Ivory Coast has arrived, or after arriving there 2 weeks ago, has recovered from 500 kilometers. Witnesses described gunmen affiliated with the Oromo Liberation Army arriving on August 18 after security forces withdrew from Gida Kirumu in the western region. The attack forced women and children to flee to neighboring hours after an Islamic State suicide bomber killed scores of people. Among the dead are civilians and 13 U.S. soldiers outside the gates of the airport. At least 2 blasts and gunfire rocked the